Hello, my name is Alex Ellis. Thank you for joining me for my presentation of When Empires Collide Inside the Map of Tenochtitlan. We're going to take a closer look at the map of Tenochtitlan, which was symbolic of both the individual success of Hernan Cortes and the general success of the Spanish conquest into the New World during the 16th century. While the map does provide some general context to the Aztec city of Tenochtitlan, I believe the actual purpose of the map was never for documentation or navigational purposes, but rather it was created as self-serving propaganda for Cortes in Spain. To provide some context of the Aztec Empire at the time, the Aztecs had come to rule over 500 small states and some 5 to 6 million people, making it the largest ancient empire of Mesoamerica. Aztec culture had strong religious beliefs and practices that commonly included human sacrifice. This was seen as an honor in some cases with volunteer sacrifices, while other instances had conquered people forcefully sacrificed to the gods. The Aztec emperors also demanded tribute from its conquered subjects. These practices developed a strong belief in the value of the human life for both labor and sacrificial practices. These were key factors in the ascension of their rule, along with the willingness to violently impose their will on their conquered subjects. And here you can also see a map of the extent of their empire at the time. So what's the history behind Tenochtitlan? Well, it included a 200-year Aztec migration to find the future site of this capital city. The migration was based on a prophecy that the location of the city would be revealed by an eagle holding a snake while perched upon a prickly cactus. The city was built on an island in the middle of the lake, and the Aztecs engineered a complex water management system to help them navigate this. Agriculture was important to the Aztecs, so they created floating fields known as chinampas to expand the limits of their city. They did this by driving a series of adjacent wooden piles into the ground, binding them together, and filling the interior of the border they created with rocks and earth. They also established a series of canals that provided fresh, clean water to the residents in their farms. And the Templo Mayor was the emperor's palace located in the city center. It was the first true site of Aztec architecture, as most of their other buildings had been taken from other conquered tribes. Now here's a closer look at Hernan Cortes. He's most famously known for his defeat of the Aztec Empire, as we'll learn about shortly. But he began his ascension through the Spanish government at an early age. He then became part of the expeditions to the New World commissioned by Charles V. He is known to crave power and notoriety, so much so that he disobeyed a direct order from another general to pursue his conquest to Tenochtitlan. Here you can see some of the other expeditions that were happening at the time, so just to provide some context to how much Spain was trying to establish new lands in the New World. So the defeat of the Aztec Empire. The Aztecs initially drove away Cortes and his men, but they returned a couple of years later to take control of the city. The city actually had served as a moat to, keep them from driving in initially, but Moctezuma experienced a vision that led him to believe Cortes was Quetzalcoatl, an ancient deity known as the feathered serpent, and the god he thought was supposed to come rule the Aztec city. So it was for this reason that Cortes was welcomed back with gifts of gold. And then Cortes returned the favor by imprisoning Moctezuma in his own palace while looting all the gold and treasure at the Templo Mayor. Also, these first battles that they had were extremely bloody and savage from both sides. So it was very controversial and not really understood why Moctezuma was willing to still allow Cortes in, but it was based on this vision that explains why he did so. This woodcut map has a convoluted history as it depicts the capital city of the Aztec Empire, but it was produced in Nuremberg, Germany by the Spanish Empire. It's an aesthetically pleasing map with European touches that's easily reproduced in paper format from the wood plate it was originally created on. There were copies that were hand-colored, while the majority were reproduced versions without color. Hernan Cortés was commissioned by Charles V to play his part in the exploration of the New World. So this map, along with the letters of Cortés, were part of the collection of documents that were procured to capture the essence of the New World. And this is known as the Florentine Codex. The accuracy of the map indicates that there might have been another reference beyond just the letter that was used to produce the map. However, that is not confirmed, and it leads to speculation of what it could have been and why another source would have been omitted from the record. It also includes ports of relevance as a supplement to the map, despite the distance between these two locations. This map and the specific manner that it was produced plays a key role in why I believe that the Spanish Empire was far more focused on power and dominance than it was ever focused on exploration and expansion. So is this a map, a trophy, or propaganda? I believe this map actually serves the purpose of all three functions. However, I think the map is the least important of the three. So let's look at some of the design details. The omission of geographic context, with the exception of the city of Tenochtitlan and the supplemental Punta de Cuba, show that the narrative of the acquired city was the focus of the map. The complexities of building a metropolis this large in the center of a lake showed how developed the city and civilization was, and therefore the value it offered to Spain. The inclusion of the water management system was important to not filter out because it helped explain how impressive and complex the city was, and it also helped to show how a developed city could even possibly be functioning in the center of a lake. Omission of Aztec architecture, except for the Templo Mayor, shows that the people and the culture were not what was seen as valuable to the conquistadors and their conquest. The headless character seen in the middle can also be representative of the rationalization that the Spanish had, depicting them as barbarians and further justifying their cause. This is in reference to the human sacrifice practices that the Aztecs had. So now, how is this map deployed? Well, with an effort to produce such a high quality map that's not very reliable for providing direction, it shows that its main purpose was not for navigation. Instead, it served as a personal accolade and honor for Cortés that showed his importance to the Spanish Empire. The widespread production leads me to believe that it was important propaganda to the Spanish Empire as well, as it was widely produced and distributed throughout Europe. So the key takeaways of the map are that while it depicts an Aztec city, it almost entirely lacks any Aztec features. This is because it's filtered through a Spanish lens, and this Spanish lens was to help produce a symbol of the acquisition of a promising new land. Thank you for spending time and learning about the map of Tenochtitlan with me.